Welcome to Vetted Conversations, coming to you from Media Row at Super Bowl 60. This is our roadshow series where we take the mission on the road and our bias for patriotism travels with us. Today, Anil sits down with former NFL defensive end Patrick Kerney and entrepreneur Tom Latkovic, co-founder of BetterBrain. Patrick spent 11 years in the league and knows firsthand the physical toll the game takes. And like many former players and veterans, he's been living with the quiet concern of what those years of concussive hits might mean down the road. BetterBrain is his answer to that fear. In this conversation, they dig into why Alzheimer's and dementia prevention is the #1 health concern for people over 40, what the latest science says about controllable risk factors, and why TBI makes this mission just as critical for the veteran community as it is for the NFL. We're your veteran and military family member hosts, bringing you the conversations that matter. So let's get into it.
Hey everybody, this is Anil Nathan, your host for Vetted Conversations here on Radio Row in San Francisco, California. I have the pleasure of being joined by Patrick Kerney and Tom Latkovic. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks for having us on.
So tell us what brings you to Radio Row this week.
Yeah, well, obviously my Seahawks being in the Super Bowl is a big propellant to getting me here, but the most important reason I'm here is to talk about BetterBrain and not only what it means for the NFL fraternity, but also society at large in terms of addressing what is the #1 medical concern for people over 40 in our country, and that is passing away via Alzheimer's. I think my cohort is at an age now, and that over 40 cohort is at an age now where we've had some proximity to watching somebody go that way, and it's rightfully bringing on a lot of fear and a lot of concern, and a wondering about if anything can be done about it. Particularly for former players who put our heads at risk, obviously. And in 11 years, I know I took many subconcussive blows, and there's probably a price to be paid for that. We know through research that traumatic brain injury lends itself is a factor in Alzheimer's dementia. But the great news is, and it comes through BetterBrain, is that there's many other factors that play into Alzheimer's dementia, ones that you can control, ones you can get proactive about at any age to, at the very least, defer Alzheimer's dementia onset, if not eliminate it in your life.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and, we are an organization of veterans and military family members, so TBI is obviously a major concern for a lot of veterans, a lot of people who served, and so it's fantastic to hear about some of the innovations and the work that's going on to address that challenge and potentially avoid a lot of the downstream risk factors that can be associated with it. So tell me a little bit more about what BetterBrain is and how kind of people can think about addressing some of those risk factors to prevent Alzheimer's risk later in life.
Sure. Tom's the co-founder, so maybe he's a better descriptor of the service.
Well, the main idea, the main idea is there's just a huge amount of science that's come out, a lot of it in the last 5 or 10 years, about practical things that we can all do, whether we're NFL veterans, military veterans, just regular people, to put the odds more in our favor. And so what we try to do is help people figure out which of those things, whether it's sleep or it's diet or it's how they take the medicines that they take or how they interact with other people, what can they do practically that's going to work best for them. And so that's what it's all about, and that's what we're trying to do.
That's great. And Patrick, how did you get involved with BetterBrain?
I was introduced to the company through a mutual friend about 18 months ago, and spent the successive 6-7 months digging in on the research around which the company is based, and really getting a firm understanding of the legitimacy of what this can bring to society. And became a big advocate, came on board as an advisor, and have worked to liaise with current and former NFL players, with the NFLPA, with the NFL, to hopefully someday work towards a partnership where this becomes a standard of care for not only dementia prevention and mitigation, but current cognitive optimization. Personally, I think I'm like a lot of guys where you leave the game knowing you took risks, knowing that price was paid, and growing in concern as time passes, and you march towards an age where an onset would take place.
Sure.
For dementia, and without any proactive steps to mitigate that, it becomes very concerning. And your fear grows over time. Well, here comes BetterBrain with actionable steps you can take to mitigate that. The sense of relief I had the sense of relief that other guys who have gone through this program have had, knowing that there is control over their cognitive future, cannot be overstated.
That's fantastic. And have you all engaged with veterans organizations or the veteran community as part of what you all are doing and providing the support for them?
I mean, all preliminarily. I mean, first and foremost, we have a number of veterans that have been clients of ours, and we consider that group to be someone who could really benefit from what we're doing. So we certainly have lots of clients. In terms of formal partnership, we're actually exploring a couple relationships with veteran organizations. Both those that are primarily focused on TBIs and CTE, but also ones that are more broad in nature. So
that's great to hear, and obviously, awesome opportunity to deliver impact to, as you kind of focus on the NFL and kind of sports community, on the veteran community as well. So excited to see how that grows. So Patrick, maybe tell us a little bit about, you mentioned Seattle's in the game. You played for the Seahawks. How does it feel to see them in the Super Bowl, and how are you feeling about this weekend?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I was able to take my oldest daughter, out to the San Francisco game.
Okay.
So it just ties us all the more to the franchise's success. Watched them as much as a father of four can watch them during the regular season.
Sure. Yeah.
Which was a good bit, but less than I would have ideally liked. But when I've watched them, they have been an electric team, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, where I have a more trained eye, just appreciating the effort with which they play with. I think Coach McDonald, they've put together a pretty creative scheme there, which gives an offense a lot to think about pre-snap. But once that ball snapped, they're playing with a speed and effort that has made them the number one scoring defense in the league for a reason.
Yeah, it's been impressive to see, and obviously the Sam Darnold story and kind of everything that he's been through in his career to get to this point and now be leading a team in the Super Bowl is such a phenomenal. It's hard not to root for them, right? I guess unless you're a Patriots fan.
Unless you're a Patriots fan, yeah. I mean, candidly, you got to give a lot of credit to John Schneider, right? To get rid of a good quarterback in Geno Smith.
Sure.
To get rid of a great wide receiver in DK Metcalf. To get rid of a staple of the first Seahawks dynasty in TJ Lockett. And then to do that, to get Darnold there, for Jackson Smith and Jigba to rise up and meet that challenge.
Right.
Make some great stories for this team.
Yeah, well, very, very excited to see how the game plays out. But as part of what we are doing in these conversations with everybody we're talking to, we are celebrating America's 250th birthday this year. Last year was the 250th birthday of the Army, the Navy, and the Marine Corps. So a lot to kind of milestones to celebrate for the United States. But one thing that we're asking all of our guests is, if you could kind of summarize what America means to you, as an American citizen, as somebody who's obviously played the game, who's building a business in this country, just a little bit of, how it feels for you to be celebrating America's 250th birthday.
The older I get, the more I appreciate what America is, and that is the greatest socioeconomic mobilizer in recorded history. A place where someone can come from a foreign land and in one or two generations make that mobilization from the docks to the penthouse is awesome.
Yep.
And it's not standard in this world. And so, look, is our country perfect? Of course not. Is it the best option out there? Absolutely.
And Tom?
Just profound gratitude to the men and women that have sacrificed for literally hundreds of years so that we can enjoy all the benefits we have today.
That's both great answers, great responses. And then last thing, do a little trivia. You guys can confer together if phone a friend style. But
be careful. This guy's brain is actually amazing.
But he has the better brain, right?
He does.
All right. So, who was the first signer of the Declaration of Independence?
First. A UVA guy. I want to say Thomas Jefferson. But I don't know.
It's a good guess.
He wasn't. He wasn't the first though.
Really famous signature.
Oh, Hancock.
John Hancock. There you go. All right, on the second.
One question. Do you have the other one?
Where was the Declaration of Independence signed?
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. There you go.
First general?
First general of the United States Army.
The Continental Army?
Continental Army, yep.
Washington.
Yep, there you go. All right, so
I literally just finished the book 1776
yeah,
like 2 weeks ago.
Book. You should watch.
It's a great book.
If you haven't seen the Ken Burns American Revolution documentary that just came out, incredible. Great little crash course in a lot of what went into making this country possible. So,
the older you get, the more you look at the founders and like, man, they did something incredible.
Yeah,
it's been pretty hard. We're trying to screw it up. It's like unscrewable.
against some incredible odds.
You're reading the story of the Continental Army.
Yeah.
Like, wait, I live in the Northeast. They didn't have shoes?
Yeah,
come again? They marched how many miles? They didn't have shoes?
Yeah. We're complaining about how cold it is in the Northeast right now, and I think we're doing all right.
It made me bridle my tongue pretty quick.
Exactly.
These boots are just fine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Patrick, Tom, thank you both so much for joining, and appreciate what you're doing with BetterBrain, and excited to see where it goes from here. Last thing, if you guys can just give a quick happy birthday to the United States military and happy birthday to America to the camera.
Slightly belated happy birthday to our nation's military. Can't say enough thanks for what you do.
Happy birthday, America.
Beautiful. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.